All right, let me be blunt with you. The biggest problem with this Chiefs team isn't Patrick Mahomes, and it isn't the playbook. It's the mentality the front office keeps doubling down on, choosing comfort and familiarity over actual upgrades. You see it, I see it, and it's costing games. Think about this. A player who couldn't stick elsewhere gets brought back because he's known, not because he's the best option. You know exactly who I'm talking about. That familiar name that gives you a little hope because the guy used to be something. But the last time they gave him real snaps, it killed a drive. That's not nostalgia. That's a tactical mistake. That's a Super Bowl contender letting the margin for error widen because decision makers are picking warm seats over upside. This isn't just one bad signing. It's a pattern. The Chiefs have signed veterans who add familiarity, and then they wonder why they don't get explosiveness out of the backfield or consistent pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Comfortable choices keep the roster stable on paper, but they don't move the needle when it matters. When the Bills can drop bodies into coverage and make you one-dimensional, you need a back who forces a defense to respect the run. You need pass rushers who create chaos. You don't need another rerun of a name that makes highlights from 2021. And here's the part that burns: the trickle effect. The free agent haul underwhelms. The rookie first-round pick misses time. Two-down upgrades that should be bench depth become stops in the rotation. And suddenly, your depth chart looks like it was assembled on autopilot. Familiar faces instead of the best possible fit. I'm not saying loyalty is always bad. I'm not saying every veteran should be cut. But when a player clearly isn't contributing and is taking reps from a younger guy with upside, you don't keep paying the comfort toll. You promote competition. You let the best player earn snaps. That's how you fix recurring issues. Not by banking on names that feel safe. So here's a quick reality check for you. And I want to hear from you in the comments below. Do you think the Chiefs are selecting comfort over pure talent right now? Yes or no? Drop your vote as a one-word reply. Yes or no? And tell me one name you'd cut to bring in proven upside. And before we move on, do me a favor. If you like honest takes like this and you want real deadline reaction when it happens, hit subscribe. We're pushing for 6,000 subscribers so we can ramp up coverage, and your support actually helps keep this channel on the front lines. Smash the like button too if you want more deep dives like this. All right, I've set the table. Next up, we're going to dig into the free agency and draft decisions that left the roster thin in all the wrong places and why those misses make any deadline move more urgent. Let's be honest, the Chiefs' recent roster construction has been a mix of smart budgeting and some painfully bad misses. And when you're a Super Bowl caliber team, those misses get magnified fast. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. The truth is, the 2025 free agency class and the last draft cycle haven't delivered the kind of impact a contender needs. Let's start with the money moves. Remember when Kansas City handed out a bunch of deals that looked okay on paper? But when the pads went on, those signings just didn't move the needle. Jalen Moore, for example. $15 million a year for a guy who's not even playing consistent snaps. That's not depth. That's a cap hit disguised as insurance. Christian Fulton, 2 years, $20 million, and he still hasn't played in a meaningful game. Then you've got Elijah Mitchell, a healthy scratch week after week, even as Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets snaps. Think about that for a second. The guy you brought in to compete can't even get on the field while the same old issues keep showing up in your backfield. When your free agency plan produces zero solutions to your biggest weaknesses, like no explosive runner, no consistent interior pressure, that's not strategy. That's stagnation. You can call it continuity if you want, but at the end of the day, it's the reason this team keeps coming up short in winnable games. Now move down the list to the draft. The front office's first-round pick, Josh Simmons, disappeared for a month. The second-rounder, Omar Norman Lott, tore his ACL and is out for the year. That's bad luck, but it's also a reminder of how thin this roster really is when the next man up policy has no next man ready. Jalen Royals, a healthy scratch. Ashton Gillott, decent in flashes, but only seeing serious time because of injuries. You can't call that a developmental plan. That's survival mode. Look, I get it. Every GM misses. But the timing of these misses matters. When your franchise quarterback is in his prime and your championship window is open, you can't afford a year where your draft and your free agent class both flop. You need at least 2 or 3 contributors who come in, play meaningful snaps, and tilt games your way. Right now, the Chiefs have too many names that just fill space. And when you add that to the habit of bringing back old faces for familiarity, it becomes clear why the team looks stuck in neutral. They're betting on comfort instead of competition. They're hoping safe players can be serviceable instead of signing or drafting true difference makers. That's the pattern Brett Veach needs to break, and fast. Because every lost season under Patrick Mahomes isn't just a missed playoff run, it's a wasted prime year from a generational talent. Here's where I want your input. Drop this in the comments. Which part of the roster needs fixing the most? Running back, pass rush, defensive line, or secondary? Pick one and tell me why. I read every comment, and I want to see what you think is the biggest hole on this team right now. And if you're with me so far, if you're tired of watching the same problems repeat every season, then hit that like button and subscribe to Total Chiefs News. We're pushing hard to reach 6,000 subscribers, and when we get there, we'll be breaking down every single roster move the moment it happens. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the most important moment of the Chiefs season, the trade deadline. The one opportunity this team has to turn it around before it's too late. Will Brett Veach finally get aggressive? Or are we about to watch another contender let opportunity pass them by? This is it, Chiefs Kingdom. The 2025 trade deadline. The line between another wasted year and a real shot at redemption. For Kansas City, this isn't just about adding a player or two. It's about finally admitting that the "we're fine as we are" mindset has expired. Because let's be real, what we've seen through the first half of the season is not a Super Bowl team. It's a good team, sure. But good doesn't raise Lombardi trophies. Every single season that Patrick Mahomes is under center should be treated like gold. You don't let years like this slip by waiting for next season. You attack now. You make bold moves now. You fix what's broken now. And that's why this trade deadline is the defining moment for Brett Veach and Andy Reid. So, what are the needs? Let's start with the most obvious, the pass rush. With Charles Omenihu out for the season, there's no consistent edge threat opposite George Karlaftis. Sure, Felix Anudike-Uzomah has flashed, but flashes don't win games in January. The Chiefs need someone who can get home on 3rd and long and make quarterbacks uncomfortable, someone like Brian Burns from the Giants, or even Zadarius Smith if the Browns are willing to deal. That's the kind of veteran presence that could change everything down the stretch. Then there's the running back position. Let's not sugarcoat it. This room hasn't produced the juice this offense needs. Isaiah Pacheco runs angry, but he can't do it all by himself. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't proven to be the spark off the bench, and Elijah Mitchell hasn't even been active most weeks. A trade for someone like Tony Pollard, or even a sneaky move for a dual threat like DeAndre Swift, could inject the offense with the burst and versatility it's missing. And finally, the secondary. The young guys have talent, but inexperience has shown up in crucial moments. Trent McDuffie can't cover everyone, and with L'Jarius Sneed gone, there's no true tone setter in that group. A veteran corner or safety who brings leadership and toughness could make a world of difference, especially when the playoffs get physical. But here's the big question. Will Brett Veach actually make a move? History tells us he's cautious. Remember, the Chiefs rarely go all in at the deadline. They prefer developing from within. But this year feels different. The locker room knows it. The fans know it. Even Patrick Mahomes has been hinting in press conferences that the offense needs help. You can hear the frustration between the lines. If Veach stands pat and this season ends in another almost playoff run, There will be real pressure on the front office to justify why they didn't act when the opportunity was right there, because this core, Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, and Reid, doesn't have unlimited time. Every season counts. So Chiefs fans, here's the poll for you. Should the Chiefs go all in at the trade deadline, or should they stick with what they have? Type go all in if you think Kansas City has to be aggressive, or type stay put if you believe in the current roster. And let's be real. If you were in Brett Veach's chair, what position would you fix first? I want to see your trade target ideas in the comments. The best suggestions might make it into our next episode. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to Total Chiefs News and turn on notifications, because when the trade deadline hits, we'll be breaking every rumor, every move, and every decision that could shape the rest of the season. Let's talk about the man at the center of it all, Andy Reid, one of the greatest offensive minds in NFL history, a future Hall of Famer, and the architect of one of the most dynamic systems the league has ever seen. But right now, Coach Reid is facing something he's rarely dealt with in Kansas City, a crisis of identity. Because here's the truth, defenses have caught up. The league has spent the last 2 years studying every route combo, every motion, every little wrinkle in Reid's playbook. And what's worse, the Chiefs haven't evolved fast enough to stay ahead. You can see it on tape. Teams are forcing Patrick Mahomes to play underneath, taking away the big plays and daring Kansas City to drive methodically. But when your offensive line can't consistently hold up and your receivers can't separate or catch the football, that's a recipe for frustration. Andy Reid has always been known for creativity. But lately, the play calling feels predictable. Too many horizontal screens, too much reliance on Travis Kelce to bail everyone out. The offense looks like it's running on muscle memory instead of innovation. And for a team that's built its identity on being ahead of everyone else, that's dangerous. Now, don't get me wrong, Andy Reid is still elite, but even the best coaches have to adapt. Bill Belichick reinvented his schemes every few years to fit the talent he had. Sean McVay rebuilt his offense around a power running game when teams started shutting down his deep cross concepts. Reid has the same challenge now. Evolve the system around the pieces you have. Here's the tough question. Can he do it this season? Because waiting until the offseason might be too late. You can't expect Mahomes to keep masking all these flaws forever. You can't keep asking Travis Kelce, at 36, to be your first, second, and third option every week. That's why this stretch run will tell us more about Andy Reid than any game in the last 5 years. He's got to rediscover his edge. That means adjusting the scheme to help this specific roster. More 2 tight end sets, more motion pre-snap to confuse defenses, more power runs to take pressure off Mahomes, and maybe, just maybe, giving young players like Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy the freedom to make plays without fear of mistakes. Because here's what nobody's saying out loud. Andy Reid's greatest strength has also become his biggest weakness: trust. He trusts his system, his process, his veterans. But sometimes, trust can turn into stubbornness. When you've built an empire, it's hard to admit that something isn't working anymore. Yet the truly great coaches, the ones who stay great, are the ones who aren't afraid to tear it all down and rebuild mid-season. So, let's make this a conversation, Chiefs Kingdom. I want you to drop your thoughts below. Has Andy Reid lost his creative spark, or is it just the roster holding him back? And be honest, if you were the head coach, what's the one change you'd make to fix the offense right now? Play calling? Personnel? Tempo? Let's hear your takes in the comments. If you're still watching this deep into the video, you're a real one. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and help Total Chiefs News hit our next goal of 6,000 subscribers. Every like and sub helps this community grow, and we're building something special for Chiefs fans who want real talk, not sugar-coated fluff. Now don't go anywhere, because in the final chapter, we're diving into what all of this means long-term. For Mahomes, for the franchise, and for the legacy of this era. The question is simple. Is this a temporary slump or the beginning of the end of a dynasty? All right, let's bring this all home because everything we talked about so far funnels into one big question. What does this season mean for Patrick Mahomes and the legacy of this era? Start here. Mahomes is the heartbeat of this franchise. When you analyze every decision, from free agency to draft strategy to midseason trades, you have to frame it through the lens of maximizing his window. That window isn't unlimited. Elite quarterbacks don't come around every decade, and Mahomes is already in his prime. Each year, that ends in almost chips away at what could be a historic run. But legacy isn't built by one man alone. It's built by an organization that recognizes urgency and backs it up with tough decisions. That's why the current roster construction matters so much. If the Chiefs keep betting on comfort, re-signing familiar names, hoping development solves systemic problems, and sitting out of meaningful trade opportunities, Mahomes' prime could end with more questions than trophies. And that's not hyperbole, that's the arithmetic of winning in the NFL. Now let's be practical about what saving the window looks like. It's not about reckless splurges. It's about targeted moves and accountability. If the front office adds an immediate difference maker, a pass rusher who consistently pressures the QB, an explosive back who forces defenses to respect the run, or a veteran secondary piece who steadies the defense, you change the odds. Those aren't cosmetic fixes. Those are leverage plays that make Mahomes' job easier and protect his legacy. Here's the hard truth. If the Chiefs stand pat, the narrative shifts. People start asking if Kansas City missed its moment. If they act decisively and smartly, the same season could be remembered as the one where the front office finally matched Mahomes' urgency. Small margin swings matter. A sack here, a run that opens up a play-action bomb there. Those moments win playoff games. So I want a quick check from you. This is important, and I'll read it. Do you think Mahomes' legacy is safe if the Chiefs don't make a bold move this deadline? Type safe or at risk in the comments. One word. Let's keep it simple. Before we close out, one more engagement. In one sentence, tell me the move you'd make right now to protect Mahomes' legacy. No essays, just the player and the price you'd give up. I'm compiling fan trade ideas, and the best ones get featured in our follow-up breakdown. If you've been riding with this channel, you know what I'm about to say. Hit like if you want accountability from the front office, and subscribe to Total Chiefs News if you haven't already. We're chasing 6,000 subscribers so we can bring faster deadline coverage, deeper film breakdowns, and more community-driven content for Chiefs fans who want straight talk. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our live reaction if the Chiefs move. This is where I leave you with the bottom line. This season is a choice. The Chiefs can either lean into urgency, fix the glaring holes, and protect Mahomes' prime, or they can default to familiarity and hope the stars align. I don't know about you, but I want to see urgency.